Hey, welcome back to Fat Mama Physics. In this video, I'm going to go over try these problems. And again, if you are confident that you can do this by yourself, you're welcome just to skip this video, or in fact, just go to the very end just to check your answer, or play this on fast mode, however you like. And if you're just doing these problems with me because you feel like you need a little bit extra support, then please listen to the parts where I prompt you to pause the video for you to try it yourself and check your answer afterwards, okay? So let's begin. Part 3 of 1.1. For these pairs of numbers, which number is greater? Okay, so let's start with this, 8.34 versus 8.3. These are both positive, so it's fantastic. We don't have to worry about negative signs, which means that if I had to compare these two numbers, then a nice way to think about it is making sure that they have the same number of digits after the decimal place. For example, 8.3 is the same thing as is the same thing as 8.30. So then you think about which one's bigger. Well, this guy is going to have 4 more cents than this other guy, so this guy is going to be larger, okay? So just circle the one that is greater. That is good enough, okay? All right, let's try this one. B, negative 2.34 versus negative 2.3. Again, you can do the same thing. Put an imaginary 0 because that's not going to change your number, okay? This time we're working with negatives, okay? Now, let's think about this. If we have a negative sign in front, it means you're owing someone money, or you can think about it like that. If you're owing someone money, then would you rather owe more money or owe less money? Of course, you want to owe less money. If you owe less money, overall, you seem a little bit more richer than the other person, which is pretty sad to say that. But anyways, you owe less money, you're going to be better off, which means this guy is going to be greater because it is less negative. Less negative is going to be a larger number than something that is more negative. If you want to think about it on a number line, then this number is a little bit closer to 0 versus this number over here, okay? So that's one way to think about it. Notice the answers are completely different if you're working with positive versus if you're working with negative numbers. Okay, next up we have C. Hey, guess what? I think I'm going to give you the chance to think about this one. And my hint, if you're not sure, is to maybe write out this repeated decimal here to see what you get, okay? Good time to pause the video. All right, so let's do this one together. If I write this out, I'm going to get a negative 4.6666, and that's going to keep going. And guess what? If I have to compare that with this number, negative 0.60, that terminates. And since it terminates, I only have 4.60, which means in terms of owing money, I'm going to owe only $4.60, versus this guy is going to owe $4.67 if you round it up to the nearest cent. So this guy is going to be a little bit worse off. He's going to owe a little bit more money than the first person. So this first person has a larger number, or his number is going to be greater, closer to 0 versus this other person. So this one is going to be greater. Okay? All right, looking at D here. Hey, I think D is something you can try as well. And I'm not going to give you any hints for this one, so good time to pause the video. Alright, so I will do this one as well. 5.86, and I'm going to write out the repeated decimal. And the thing is, this one is positive. So I'm going to put 5.8666, and if I want to, I can just substitute I can just put a trailing number of zeros afterwards. That does not change my number. And right away, you can see that this number is greater because it's got a little bit more decimals following up afterwards. It's going to be larger than something that is just followed by zeros. So this one is definitely larger, okay? Okay, yay, moving on. Good pacing here. Woohoo, we got fractions to deal with. So, I'm going to begin with this one. I'm going to do this one for you, unless you want to do it yourself. You just pause it yourself. Pause the video. Go ahead. Otherwise, let's begin. Now, this one, again, we're going to be dealing with negatives. So whenever we deal with two negative numbers, the one that is less negative is going to be larger always. And it seems like I don't think you actually need to really convert these to a decimal, in my opinion, because it is using the same denominator. Every piece of the pizza is of the same shape. We're talking about sevenths of a pizza. So which one's going to be greater? I can have 6/7 of a pizza or 5/7 of the pizza. Well, you might first think that 6/7 is bigger, but it is negative. So the answer is going to be the opposite. So it's going to be 5/7 because I owe 5/7 of a pizza versus this other guy, he's going to owe 6/7 of a pizza. He's going to be a little bit worse off, meaning I'm going to be a little bit better. I have a greater number closer to 0. Okay, so next up we have two numbers that we're comparing. We are comparing a decimal versus a fraction. And if you are stuck and wouldn't be sure how to approach it, my first tip for you is to convert that improper fraction into a decimal and then do the comparison. So if that's all you need to know, maybe give it a chance to try this first. It's a good time to pause the video. Okay, so I will do this one, finish it off. I will do 16/5, okay? 16 divided by 5 is going to give me 3.2, but this is going to be negative, okay? So this is negative 3.2. Wait a minute. Aren't these two the same? These two are exactly the same. So none of them is greater than the other one. There, we're done. Yay! Okay, moving on. G. Okay, take a look at G, and again, I'm not going to give you any hints. Good time to pause the video and try. Alright, so if I put this in my calculator, if you do that, great. Or this one is negative 0.8 versus negative 0.9. All you have to do is make one a decimal to give you a better idea to compare the two. And of course, the one that is going to be less negative is going to be greater, which is going to be negative 0.8, smaller than 9, but it's negative. So I owe less money, closer to 0, meaning that one is larger. Okay, so guess what? We have 2 more questions, which means what I'll do is I'm going to do A, you will do B. Okay, let's go. All right, so we're going to order this one from least to greatest. So first of all, make sure you read the question carefully. You want the least number first, and you want the greatest number later. If you want to just give yourself a hint, or just to make sure that you know, and make sure you have make sure that you don't flip it around or give me the opposite order, because that oftentimes happens when students don't read the question properly, then you can set it up like that just to remind yourself. Okay, and again, if you would like to, this might be a good time to convert all of these to decimals to make it easier for you to visualize them, and then order them from least to greatest, starting from 2 3/4. So remember, a mixed fraction, I think of it as 2 numbers added together, your whole number plus your fraction. So that's 2 plus 3/4. That's going to be actually, if I write it here, that's 2 3/4. I know 2 is 2. 3/4 is 0.75. So if I add these together, that's 2.75. Done. Okay. Then let's go to 8/5, and maybe it's easier if I just show you how to do this on the calculator. 1.6. Don't forget it's negative 1.6. Last one. Oh, this one's not that bad. It's just 9 divided by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So this just gives us negative 3. There you go. Woohoo! All right. So when I order them, I always like to pick the least number and the greatest number first to give me my boundaries. So let's start with the least number, which we know has to be negative. And the negative numbers are negative 1.3. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to use red for that one, maybe. Or blue. Which one do you like? Let's go with blue. Okay, you got negative 1.3, negative 1.6, and negative 3. Well, look at that. Negative 3 is going to take the cake. Okay, and let's start with the positives. Okay, 2.75, 1.5. Oh, that's it. Those are only 2 positive numbers. Well, of course, 2.75 is going to take the cake. And the next one, that's a little bit high, well, second highest is 1.51. Then our negative numbers, we have negative 3. And the one that is next over here is, oh yes, don't forget you want to cross out the ones you've done before. It makes your life easier. Oh, and this one. So we get negative 1.6 and negative 1.3, okay? Of course, negative 1.6 is going to be more negative than something that is negative 1.3. So here, this is the order of which I would write this. And whenever you're doing this kind of question, it is always a good courtesy to rewrite these according to whatever was given in the question. So if you order them based off the decimal, if you can please rewrite them with the with the fractions that you see above, that would be something that it would be good to do. So here I would write negative, oh, it was not negative 3, it was negative 9 over 3, okay? And 1 over 6, this was negative 8 over 5. Negative 1.3 was the same as the question. And 1.51 is the same as the question. And 2.75 instead was written as a mixed fraction, 2 3/4. Okay, so if you just write it like that for proper courtesy, thank you, that would be very awesome. And guess what? It is your turn to do question B. Good time to pause the video. Okay, so I will walk us through question B. And like always, I'm just going to remind myself I have to go from least to greatest, and also probably to categorize the numbers into negative numbers and positive numbers. Before that, we have some fractions. So maybe we should do that first. Convert all of these to decimals to make it easier for us. This first one is going to be negative 1.2, I believe. Okay, 1.2, yes, that's right. Next up, I have negative 0.25. This one is going to be negative 1.125, okay? So, oh, no, sorry, 375, sorry, 375, okay? Okay, I'm just gonna double check that. 3 divided by 8 is 3.75, and this one, just to check my math. Okay, here we go. So let's start off with labeling our negative numbers. Okay, so this is negative, this is negative. Wow, lots of negative numbers here. So taking all our negative numbers, let's find the one that is the most negative, because that's our least, that's the lowest number that we have. And which is going to be negative 1.375, okay? And in our positive number set, I have 0.2 and 1.2, okay? And of course, the one that's going to be greater is 1.2. The one that's second greatest is going to be 0.2. Don't forget to cross the numbers that you've dealt with already. We're left with all of these other negative numbers, which then we can do next. Okay, so it looks like negative 1.2 is the largest, well, that number is the most negative. Then we have negative 1.1. And last but not least, we have negative 0.25, okay? All right, so if you did this in a different order than I did, or you have your own way, go ahead. Doesn't matter, as long as you understand the process of what you're doing. And again, good idea to rewrite these in their actual form and given in the question. So this is negative 1 3/8. Next up is 1.2 is negative 6 over 5. Negative 1.1 is exactly as given in the question. Negative 1 over 4 as given in the is what's given in the question. Same as 0.2, and last but not least 1.2. Okay, so this is the final order that we hopefully should have. Otherwise, that's it. We finish. So, and let me just zoom in a little bit. Those of you who just fast forwarding to the end of this video to check your answer, here is our answers. Great job, everyone. I thank you for watching. Good luck with your practices, and Phantom Mama Physics signing out.